Welcome back to another episode of Warren Cali. In this episode, I'm going to talk about one of California's worst serial killers, Chester Turner. Chester was born on November 5th, 1966 in Arkansas. Chester moved to LA, settling with his mom when he was 5 years old in South Central, around Century Boulevard, which was in the Hoover's turf. This move was because Chester's parents separated in the 1970s from his dad being abusive and his mom escaping that. Chester's mom always worked multiple jobs, even having to work 2 to 3 different jobs at a time. Chester was described as not having an easy life growing up, and always having to be forced in the house, with his mom not letting him do anything, or even hang out. Most of his early years of life was helping his mom. Chester later attended public schools in LA, but dropped out of high school, and later got put on by the Hoovers. He gained the hood name Tutu. He would be doing a few stints in juvenile hall for a bunch of fights and staying in issues, which later got him small stints in LA County Jail and several stints in prison. Chester by his 20s ended up working for Domino's Pizza as a cook and a delivery person. He lived with his mother until she moved to Utah. After that, he moved around to different homeless shelters and missions where he also worked as being a security guard. Chester began selling dope in his hood and later got jumped and robbed for his dope. This gained him a big scar on his face, which they slashed him. Around 1992, Chester began a rocky relationship with a woman named Felicia. Police said over the years, the couple had a child, but fought constantly, and during one violent altercation, a relative of Felicia intervened and shot Chester. Chester over the next few years was jailed 7 times, from 1995 to 2002, 6 for non-violent offenses, and once for an assault charge on an officer and a cruelty to an animal on April 9, 1997. In March of 2002, Chester violated a 47-year-old woman for approximately 2 hours and threatened to kill her if she told the police. He was convicted and sentenced to 8 years in prison for that crime. In 2002, Chester agreed to submit a DNA sample as a part of a no-contest plea to a charge. It was placed in the law enforcement database. A detective allegedly found that it matched evidence found in 2 murders and began looking for more. In 2004, Chester was in prison, where a bunch of murders from decades back was traced back to him. 10 women were killed between 1987 and 1998. Police never had no leads for them. Their slayings remained unsolved until the police cold case homicide unit began looking to them into the 2000s. It was many serial killers popping up in the 80s and 90s and targeting women and killing them, just like the Grim Sleeper, who I did a previous episode about. The murders Chester was said to be involved in is up to 20 killings, being in South Central, mostly around the Fig area. He gained the name the Southside Slayer. Some of the women Chester killed were Diane Johnson, Annette Ernest in October 87, Anita in January 1989, Regina Washington in September 89, Andrea Triplett in 1993, Desiree Jones in May of 1993, Natalie Price in February 95, and Mildred Beasley in November of 1996. Also Paula Vance in 98, and a woman named Brenda in 98 as well. Prosecutors later investigated Chester and at least 2 other murders, for which another man, David Allen Jones, was convicted for. David Jones served years in jail for murders that Chester committed. David Jones was free from prison in March of 2004, after evidence surfaced linking Chester to those crimes. David Jones was later awarded over $700,000 for the false imprisonment. In 2004, Chester was found guilty and was sentenced to death and went on death row for a long list of killings. On June 19, 2014, Chester was found guilty of several other murders. After DNA linked Chester to the killings, he received another death sentence for those murders on June 26, 2014. In 2021, Chester did an interview with Phil Chalmers on his YouTube channel, which he described his life and things he did. As of 2022, Chester is 55 and in San Quentin State Prison on death row. Chester was a menace, killing all those innocent women and destroying families, killing mothers, daughters, and wives. Chester had no remorse for his crimes. He'll forever go down as one of the craziest serial killers in California history, the Southside Slayer. This will conclude this episode. If you haven't already, check out my previous episodes. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.